Welcome to Coin Explorer. All right, Coin Explorers, buckle up. Because what you're about to discover isn't just a coin. It's not just a penny. It's a doorway into a world of history, survival, resilience, and value that goes far beyond what you'd ever expect from a single cent. Maybe in an old drawer, maybe in a forgotten jar, maybe passed down from a grandparent. Could be something truly extraordinary. Yes. We're talking about the 1942 United States Lincoln Wheat penny, a coin that looks humble, sounds ordinary, but behind its coppery surface lies a value that could astonish even the most experienced collector. Depending on its condition, mint origin, and a few tiny details invisible to the naked eye, this coin has sold in reputable collector markets for amounts that, while not officially disclosed, have been described as life-changing by the numismatic community. And no, we're not throwing around words like thousands or millions lightly. We're saying this is a coin that serious collectors go after with intensity, especially in rare conditions and variations. But before we dive into value, let's take a deep breath. Because the real story of this coin isn't just in its worth. It's in its timing. This isn't just a penny. It's a witness to one of the most intense, uncertain, and transformative years in American and world history. Let's go back to 1942. The year is 1942. America is at war. Just 1 year earlier, the attack on Pearl Harbor shocked the nation and drew the United States into World War II. Suddenly, everything changed. Industries shifted to war production, families rationed goods, and young men were being shipped overseas. Every material had to serve a purpose. Every resource, including metals, had to be measured, saved, and used for the war effort. And that's where this little penny enters the picture. The 1942 Lincoln Wheat penny was minted during a time when even the smallest resources mattered, and when the U.S. Mint had to make critical decisions about how to strike coins while conserving essential war materials. So when you hold this penny, you're not just holding currency. You're holding a piece of wartime strategy, a tiny artifact from the very front lines of the home front, a coin designed with purpose. Let's take a closer look at this remarkable coin. On the obverse, or front, we see the familiar and solemn profile of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, gazing to the right. Just above him, the inscription, "In God we trust." To the left, liberty. And to the right, the date, 1942, stamped clearly, forever anchoring this coin in history. The reverse side is equally iconic. We see the large words, 1 cent, United States of America. And above that, in Latin, the timeless motto, A pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one. On either side, 2 stylized stalks of wheat curve inward, a beautiful and humble tribute to the American farmer, and a reminder that this is a coin of the people. This design, known as the wheat reverse or wheat ears reverse, was created by Victor David Brenner and was the very first design used for the Lincoln cent, starting in 1909. 1942 was one of the final years that this design would be struck in its original wartime form. Just 1 year later, in 1943, the U.S. Mint would make a radical change, but we'll get to that. Now, let's talk about what this coin is made of. The 1942 Lincoln Wheat penny was struck using a composition of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. That's right, pure, strong copper. At the time, copper was a critical material in war production, needed for wiring, ammunition, radios, and more. So by 1943, the U.S. Mint would replace the copper penny with a coin made of zinc-coated steel to conserve copper for the military. But in 1942, that change hadn't happened yet. This means the 1942 penny is part of the final generation of pre-steel wartime copper cents, a material that would soon become too valuable for ordinary coinage. That alone makes it special, but it gets even better. Mint marks and rarity. There were 3 mints that produced the 1942 wheat penny: Philadelphia Mint, No Mint Mark, Denver Mint. marked with a small D, San Francisco Mint, marked with a small S. Now here's where it gets exciting. The San Francisco and Denver versions are generally more sought after by collectors, especially in uncirculated or mint state condition. Some of these coins were struck with incredibly sharp detail, and in rare cases, they've been found with small die breaks, doubling errors, or off-center strikes. And in the world of coin collecting, that's pure gold, metaphorically, of course. Even tiny imperfections can turn a regular coin into a key piece for a collector. Imagine this. You're holding a coin that was only worth 1 cent in 1942. But because of a tiny error made by a machine 80 years ago, it's now highly sought after. That's the magic of minting. The imperfections can be more valuable than perfection. Let me tell you a real story, one that shows just how powerful these coins can be. In 2018, a young man in Texas was helping clean out his grandfather's old belongings. In a dusty tackle box full of rusted keys, old photographs, and forgotten receipts, he found a small velvet pouch with a handful of coins. One of them was a 1942 S wheat penny. It looked unusually clean, like it had barely circulated. Intrigued, he sent it to a professional grading service for authentication. The result? The coin was certified as MS67 red, meaning it had nearly perfect surfaces and brilliant copper luster, untouched by time. The estimated collector value placed on that penny? Let's just say it wasn't just a few dollars. The young man didn't want to sell it. He kept it as a family heirloom. But to him, the real value wasn't just in the money. It was in the history, the story, the legacy of his grandfather's generation, preserved in one single coin. Now remember earlier, we mentioned a change coming in 1943? Here's the twist. In 1943, the U.S. Mint would switch from copper to steel pennies coated in zinc, making 1942 the final full year of copper production before that wartime shift. Why is that important? Because collectors see the 1942 penny as the last of an era, the last of the real wartime copper cents. It's like owning the final page of a chapter before the whole world changed. Even more interesting, some 1943 copper pennies exist due to minting errors. Only a handful were struck when leftover 1942 copper planchets accidentally entered the machines. These rare 1943 copper errors are among the most legendary coins in U.S. history and worth unbelievable amounts. But even the 1942 originals have their own unique prestige, because they represent the end of a material age. Now, let's talk carefully about value. We have to be responsible. So let's say this, a 1942 Lincoln wheat penny in average circulated condition is still a wonderful historical piece and might sell for modest collector prices. But when that same coin is uncirculated, shows full red color, or has errors or rare mint marks, it becomes a whole different story. The highest graded and most rare examples, authenticated by respected grading services like PCGS or NGC, have sold in premium auctions for astonishing figures that have attracted national media attention. We won't use specific dollar numbers here, but it's fair to say, if you've got the right version, in the right condition, it could be the most valuable penny you've ever touched. But beyond all the technicals, let's talk from the heart. Why do we love coins like this? Because they're real, they're simple, and yet, they're powerful. The 1942 Lincoln wheat penny carries the fingerprints of a generation that endured war, uncertainty, rationing, and transformation. It's not just a coin. It's a witness, a survivor, a storyteller, and maybe, just maybe, it's a treasure. That's what makes collecting so magical. Not just the value in money, but the value in meaning. So here's what I want you to do, coin explorers. Go check your old jars. Look through your inherited coins. Dig through those forgotten boxes and shelves. If you find a 1942 penny, look closely. Check the mint mark. Check the condition. And if it looks special, get it graded by a professional. Because who knows, The coin you've ignored for years might just be something rare, something remarkable, something that tells a story worth sharing. And whether or not it changes your bank account, it will definitely change your understanding of history, value, and the extraordinary power of ordinary things. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Coin Explorer, share your stories in the comments below, and tell a friend, because treasure hides in the smallest places, and always remember, keep hunting, keep learning, and may your next coin be the one that changes everything.